Hello everyone, good day to all of you, and welcome back to another pistol grip review video today that I wanted to do on the HK PSG1 style grip right here on this rifle. Of course, HK kind of originated this style of grip with their original actual PSG1. Only difference is this is made for AR style rifles. HK likes to say that it's for the MR series of rifles, but anything that fits an AR pistol grip is going to fit this, as is the case with this rifle right here. Now, in this video, I'm going to be mostly comparing it to the two grips I have on hand, also from HK, the previous V7 Battle Grip, which this PSG1 style grip was somewhat built around the same time as this, so there's some points to be made in comparison, but I'm also going to be talking and comparing this grip to their newest adaptive grip right here, because there's also kind of some similarities as well, though this is its own grip, has its own thing going for it. And I'm also going to be talking a lot about the Ergo-Grip's palm shelf grip, which is probably the most comparable grip, which is not one that I have on hand right this second, but just comparing the design of it, I do overall think that this HK one is probably the better of the two options between those, but of course significantly higher price tag, which is something I'm going to talk about towards the very end of the video in more detail. But I'm going to go ahead and start talking about this grip itself. So the installation of this grip is pretty straightforward. The only additional step that's different from a regular AR pistol grip is you do need to take the palm shelf itself off. To do that, you just have a screw right here that you can see. You just take this out. The shelf itself splits into two halves, and then you can just slide the whole thing off. Now underneath here, additionally, when you do take this off, you actually have a little cutout, and you can actually take this palm shelf and you can adjust the height that you have it at. So you have a lot of extra room here. So if you have smaller hands, for instance, you could really choke this up and still get a comfortable grip on it and still fully utilize this palm shelf. Or if you have a very large hand, you can pop this all the way down. For this one, it's pretty close to the bottom and it's quite comfortable that way. There is a ton of room to adjust this. And you can see on the inside here, the way that it's held in, it just goes through this little insert here in the center, which just holds it in place. It's a very sturdy design, no problems there. Of course, somewhat of a departure from HK's older grips. You naturally do not have room for a storage compartment, so there's no way to store any tools for the rifle itself in this grip. It's just you have the palm shelf itself and the grip. So as I kind of said already at the start of the video, this grip is a little bit older, so there are some internal, just very minute details that end up being pretty similar to the battle grip, the older battle grip. However, one thing different, so you actually do have a little bit of a trigger guard overhang on this. Not as much as on the adaptive grip, which I'll go ahead and show you closely for comparison. So you can see right there, you have an actual true overhang right there that goes over your trigger guard on the new adaptive grip, which is of course not something you had whatsoever on your battle grip. However, if you look at this one, you actually have a little bit of an overhang on each side. Even though it's mostly these ears on the side, you still have somewhat of an overhang on the bottom here, and it can interfere if you have a very oversized trigger guard. And actually, even on this rifle, although it is fitted here mostly well, there is a little bit of a gap here at the very top, which you can see if I really point it out. You can see that tiny bit of a little gap between the receiver and the grip itself right there, compared to on this side, which looks totally fine. So it's pretty simple to remedy this. You could just make a cut in the grip just right there itself and you'd be fine. However, I didn't want to do that, of course, because pretty expensive grip. So left it as is, and you can see it's still completely fine, even with no fitting. To talk now about the actual shape of this grip and how it performs when you're actually holding it. So starting with the bottom, the most prominent feature, of course, the palm shelf itself. So this palm shelf, of course, the reason you have it is to support your palm when you're in prone. Helps to line up your trigger finger a lot better on the trigger itself. One issue with this, however, is if you like to do a full grip, full wrap of your hand like this with your thumb on the opposite side of the grip, it's pretty uncomfortable actually with this grip. It is still doable, but this really strongly recommends you to put your thumb on the same side, as you can see, just like this. And the reason for that is you have this little hump on the very back of the shelf, and it's very minimal looking, but you really do feel it if you are using the grip. Now also on the shape when you're gripping it. It's a little hard to see, but it kind of swells out here in the center, and it also kind of changes angle there in the center. Overall kind of a hump here. And it's really comfortable. There is no air gaps on the grip. I'm a really big fan of the old Battle Grip. I will say, however, that this part right here, especially now that I've used their adaptive grip more so, I do notice I do get kind of an air gap here with the way I grip the rifle. So this one really does fill out the hand nicely, at least for me, and I have pretty large hands. Do note also that this grip is not adjustable, which is another thing different from their newest adaptive grip, where you can change out the side panels and the rear panel to really fit this to your hand. You don't have any of those options on this one. It's just one size, and it is pretty large. So do keep that in mind, especially if you have a larger, or if you have a smaller hand size, because this is on the pretty massive size of a grip. But overall, if you are using this when you are prone and you're resting your palm completely on it, then it will get you that nice straight pull back if that's something that you like on the trigger. So very good, very repeatable, very consistent in that regard. Moving to the texture itself. So this is the same sort of texturing that you used to have on the Battle Grips. As I said, sort of a sandpapery type of texture to it. And notice also, now comparing it to that Ergo grip I was mentioning earlier, that this texture goes all the way up. Very, very high amount of grip texturing compared to the Ergo grip, which only goes about up to here approximately. Now you do only have texturing on the two sides right here. You don't have anything on the back. It's completely smooth right there. And of course, it's smooth on the front as well, but you do have these finger grooves, which I will say line up quite nicely. I've always kind of been a stickler on grips that have these finger grooves. I've had a lot of them that just do not line up properly with my hand at all, but this one does. It's really comfortable, and whenever finger grooves work like they should, then I think it's an improvement. And as you probably already noticed, but just to talk about it a little bit, of course, this is their RAL 8000 color, which is a great match. For example, you can see RAL scope, almost a perfect color match there, and of course, compared to their other two grips, they're polymer parts. Unlike their anodization, it's a very consistent color, so good there. And of course, they also offer this in black as well. Now I did want to talk about their offerings of this grip and where to buy it. So this is really mostly going to apply to the US. I can't say for sure how easy this is to get in Europe. I assume it's probably easier, but at least here in the US, I'd been looking for this grip for, I'm not sure exactly how long, but it felt like quite a while. And the only places I could find it were on Gunbroker for hundreds, usually around $400 and $500, sometimes even higher than that from real scalper lunatics. But as for where you can actually get this, HK USA's web shop stocks this occasionally. I haven't seen it in stock there for a while, but it is a good spot to check for it, and it's at a reasonable price, thankfully. Well, relative to the scalpers. This is still about a $130 grip, so it is expensive, as I said, compared to that Ergo grips. But you can also get this from Blue Ridge. Blue Ridge Supplies, HK Parts Pro is where I got this one. As I said, same prices on the HK USA web shop, at least currently when I'm recording this. So that's excellent, because it's really hard to find this otherwise at a reasonable price. They have both the black and the RAL, at least when I checked, so all good to go there. So to conclude and to give my own closing thoughts on this grip, I think that for a precision rifle build, this is an excellent choice. I don't know, probably the best choice you could choose. But I think for a general purpose rifle, general purpose build, personally I'm far more partial to the adaptive grip, which is still by far my favorite grip for ARs. But this is a good grip specifically for precision usage. I would say that, especially with the fact that this hump back here makes it more difficult, well, not impossible, but certainly more difficult to do a full grip, like I said, with your thumb on the other side of the rifle. I still prefer just a regular grip where I can do that comfortably. Furthermore, this grip is exceptionally heavy. I'll put up the exact weights I weighed it before I put it on here, and not including by comparison the tools that you get in the other HK grips, this is massively heavier. And actually, even if you do include the grip tools in these other grips, it's still significantly lighter. So there is the theory, I hear some people talk about kind of balancing out a barrel heavy rifle. You can kind of think of it that way if you want. Usually I like to kind of keep the rifle as light as possible, because regardless of how well balanced it is, when you're walking around with it in the mountains, you're still slinging all that weight off your body. So I'm usually more partial to a lighter grip overall. But like I said, if you're using this for its intended use case, then it works really well for that. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you all found this video on the PSG1 style grip from HK informative. Let me know if you have any other questions on this, or if you do have anything else to add. Always love to hear that as well. Hope you all enjoyed. Take care, and I hope to see you all in the next one.